Hello and welcome. My name's Jordana, and today I'm going to be sharing with you one of my favorite meal prep recipes of all time, this quinoa sweet potato salad. Calling this a salad is a bit misleading. It's better described as a grain bowl. One of my favorite things about this recipe is how satisfying it is. On days where I eat this for lunch, I am completely satiated well past dinner, which is perfect for busy days. Another thing that I love about this recipe is how versatile it is. So once you have a large batch made at the beginning of the week, you can eat it by itself, you can use it as a side dish for dinners, or even as a filling for wraps. The first thing that I'm going to do is get all of these veggies washed and ready to use. While I'm doing that, I'll begin going over each ingredient that you'll need to make this meal. For produce, you'll need 2 sweet potatoes, 1 lemon, 1 onion, 2 tomatoes, 1 cup of cilantro, and an optional avocado. You'll also need 1 1/2 cup of white quinoa, 1 can of black beans, olive oil, red pepper, garlic powder, salt, rosemary, and dried mint. I'll begin by chopping and prepping the sweet potatoes because they do take the longest out of everything to cook. I'm chopping 2 medium-sized sweet potatoes into about inch-sized cubes and then transferring all of them over to a baking sheet. To season the sweet potatoes, I'll use salt, garlic powder, dried rosemary. You'll want to crush this in your hand as best as you can and then sprinkle all over the top. The dried rosemary is the perfect herb to use with this because it pairs so well with the garlic powder and it makes your entire home smell amazing whenever you're baking these. I use a generous amount of both the rosemary and the garlic because I love them. And then I add just a tiny bit of red pepper powder just to give it a little bit of spice, but not too much. After seasoning, I'll take extra virgin olive oil and drizzle all over the top in a zigzag motion. I'll then massage all of the sweet potatoes to make sure they're evenly coated with the herbs and the oil. I'll then spread each of the potatoes evenly on the pan and make sure they're all laying flat before I place them in the oven. The oven is preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and I will leave those in for about 45 minutes, flipping them around 20 minutes in. Now that the potatoes are cooking, I will get this quinoa started. So I have 1.5 cups of white quinoa with 3 cups of water, and I'm adding a little bit of olive oil and salt and cooking that in my rice cooker. While I'm waiting for everything to cook, I dice 2 tomatoes from the vine, about a half of a white onion, and then I lightly chop a cup of cilantro. I don't like to make it too fine. I like the pieces to be almost full size, but just to get all of the stems out. And now the potatoes are ready to come out of the oven. And they look perfect and so crispy and delicious. I love how you can see all of the rosemary over the top. Now that the quinoa is ready, I'll go ahead and remove this from the rice cooker. I've set up this area to where everything's in one place and I can easily assemble the salad into a large Pyrex dish. The sweet potatoes look so delicious. I make this exact recipe by itself all the time as a snack or even as a side dish for dinner. They are so good. I'm going to fluff all of the quinoa and then add it to the Pyrex bowl. Next, I'll add in 1 can of black beans. The black beans were rinsed and drained really well before adding in. Always do that with any canned vegetable or bean. Next is the sweet potatoes. I'll add each of them over top. Lastly, I'll add in all of the fresh vegetables, and then this salad is ready to be seasoned. Not shown was me adding a generous amount of salt because the beans and the quinoa were not seasoned, so don't be afraid to add a good amount. Then I added cumin and now garlic powder, red pepper flakes, and lastly some dried mint. You'll want to crush the mint in your fingertips before sprinkling over the top. For the dressing, I'm using all of the juice from one whole lemon. The lemon that I have is really dry, so to make up for it, I'm going to use lemon juice from concentrate as well. Lastly, I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil. I'm adding about 2 full tablespoons and mix. This smells so good and I love how pretty all of the colors look together. I decided it was missing a little bit of cilantro, so I'm adding about another half cup to this to give it some more color and more flavor. Now it looks perfect and ready to serve, and that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're able to try this recipe. Please let me know what you think in the comments if you do. I'll leave detailed instructions on how to make this in the description of this video so it's easier to follow along. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe. Thank you again.